show us some love on social media. Follow us on Instagram by searching for _NoFreeDrinks, or you can even like us on Facebook. Choose your poison. Welcome back to No Free Drinks. This is Lena D, and I'm joined by my co-host.
It's Wesley.
Hey, it's Maddie.
And we have a special celebratory episode planned for you guys today. As you know, it's the last Wednesday of February, and we all know that February was all about Black History Month.
Woo-hoo.
So in honor of Black History Month and Black culture and everything that we love about being Black, we wanted to bring you an episode around Black love.
Hashtag Wakanda forever.
But really, it's to talk a little bit more about why Black families, Black love is so important in the community, and for all of us to have an appreciation for what Black love represents, and specifically just the representation part. And you can I've even gotten this from, thanks to the iPhone, when you go and look for your little family emoji, there's no black and brown family emoji.
For real?
Yeah. You can check.
You serious?
It's just a white, yellowish looking family emoji. And meanwhile, all the other individual emojis have variations of all skin tones and hair colors, but the family one doesn't. And that's very sad.
That's rude.
Because
is it there? Because I'm not on the latest version of the iOS. I'm on 10.2. So
Man, don't even ask me what I'm on,
All
but
right.
I'm checking.
But you can check.
Oh yeah, even on the couples, they don't have.
Yeah, they don't have them. So, and the thing is, it's like we're in a time and age where we're a lot more open-minded about, or at least we like to think about being more open-minded about who we're open to dating and being in a relationship with. But sometimes like you have to kind of take a step back and really appreciate some of the core family values that we've grown up with, even like TV shows that we've watched, or even for those of us who have seen Black Panther.
hey,
And
Wakanda forever.
and just the beauty of seeing sort of this unity and how it comes and manifests itself within relationships and love. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And for me, like my own definition of Black love is just the values around really being supportive, and especially coming from communities of color, of underrepresented minorities. It's so important to have that integral family unit and growing up seeing love around you in your family. And sometimes, unfortunately, not all of us have that, but there are other ways that you can sort of get inspiration and have sort of like this idol view of what Black love can represent. And I think it really becomes helpful when you start thinking about how do you grow up in sort of what you look for in a relationship, and sort of also finding healthy relationships for yourself. So it's really important for you to have sort of that family figure or that love figure that you can emulate.
Dope. Totally agree with you. I think for me, Black love and the idea of Black love is so important, just because growing up, even though, we had the Cosby Show, we had Family Matters. So we had it in television, but to see it in real life was always the issue. I grew up in Brooklyn in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was common for most of us to be raised by single mothers. So the whole idea and the concept of Black love wasn't something that I actually got to see and experience. So to see it represented in different ways and different avenues was huge. And I guess that's why it kind of carried over into dating and growing up, where it's just like, okay, Black love is just super important. Down for the swirl, down for the interracial dating, but stupid. But in the back of my head and in the forefront, I'm not gonna front, like it was just always a big thing. And then seeing happy, loving, functional Black couples, society makes you think like it's not a realistic expectation to see that. So seeing it was just like, yes, it's possible. We can do this.
As referenced by the lack of Black family emojis.
Word.
So it's definitely possible. And I think it's really important just to embrace it and talk about it and acknowledge it, and like even point out why it makes us feel so warm and good inside too, I think.
Yeah. Now, for me growing up, I had my mother and father, but I don't remember what it was because my mom passed away at an early age. She passed. My mom passed around 1989 or something like that. So I don't remember seeing it. I just remember my mom and dad being around. I thought everything was normal and great and stuff like that. And all of a sudden that happened. And so one of my earliest memories was, my mother and father being together. But as a whole, like, I don't remember it as much as I should, but primarily because I'm in my 30s now. So, but yeah, so I'm just decrepit. Yeah, I'm just old. I'm the old man. The old man. But I remember what it meant to me to see like people of color or couples of color on the big screen, whether it was like in movies or whether it was on the TV every Friday night, TGIF, watching Family Matters or watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I always got the sense of what the idea of it was. So yeah, I'm very happy about having this conversation about what it's going to look like or how should it look like and all that good stuff.
And I think we do have to put the disclaimer for those haters out there who are going to try to say that we're pretty much uplifting Black couples and Black love. Wait, this is not to put down anyone else. Wait, we are just trying to say why this matters and it's important to us. We're not saying that any other look or view of a couple or a family is bad. We're just saying that this is important to us and we just want to touch on it.
And I think it's even important being part of the swirl equation here. I think it's important for both sides of what's forming, like the couple and the love, to really just understand the cultural like norms and implications of how did you grow up versus how did I grow up? Like, what was your parental unit like? Like, what were the roles that mother and father played? Because a part of being in an interracial relationship is also acknowledging that you have to work even harder to really preserve both cultures. Yep. And you can't really do that without having some sort of an understanding or an idea of what it was like for that other person or for that other culture growing up. And then how did they view family? Because being Latina, like, family is very, very important. But that's not to say that family isn't important in other cultures. It's just that it looks different.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's also important for people to think about it from that lens, that we're celebrating it in celebration of Black History Month, but in any other sort of like familial unit, they're all really important. It's just, it's even more important to appreciate the differences between what that means for different people.
Absolutely.
So to get started, of course, we always have to reference some of the stats. And one of the reasons why we also thought this topic was important is because there's a lot of like this, I'm going to call it fake news, so to speak, because there's just like a lot of noise around, the deterioration of Black families and the Black familial unit. And to an extent, there are some stats out there that do show that there is some sort of deterioration in terms of just percentages of the number of Black families or couples that are married today versus either other ethnic groups or even versus history with Black couples in and of itself. So I'm just going to run through some stats and then we can talk a little bit more about it. So if you look at Black households, it's reported based on the U.S. Census that 45% of those Black households have a married couple. But if you contrast that to Latinos, they're actually at 70%. And then for whites, they're at 80%.
That's crazy.
So that in itself is a bit shocking. But it's kind of like at the surface, right? So it's like, what else is causing that? So if we look historically, back in the 1890, which is when they have the data back to, 80% of Black households were comprised of both parents. And then nowadays, it's actually only 40% of families that their children say that their both parents are in the household.
And excuse me, sorry. as we could just quickly, really briefly, very quickly, because this would be a whole nother can of worms that I don't want to open up, but why we think that is and what really statistically has caused this. And
racism.
Shut up. In part, yes. But the now or more recently, it's a matter of
the police.
If you don't get out, let him finish. Can we kick him out? Turn off his mic.
It's like Star and Buck Wild back in the day. Shut his mic off. Shut his mic off.
Oh, you just aged yourself even more, old man. Right? No, but I mean, dang, I can't even be mad because you're right. It has to do with the war on drugs, which started in the 70s. By one of our lovely presidents. I'm not going to get all political on y'all, but the war on drugs started, and we do know that it did target mainly minority and African American communities, and that led to the rise of mass incarceration. If we looked at one of the stats that I found said, and by my boo thing, Cory Booker,
what?
Hey. He has said that because of the war on drugs, the incarceration rate of federal and state prisons went up 600%. Like,
a lot.
That's crazy. 600% because of these policies.
You sneeze wrong, you going to jail.
And we already know, like, statistically, that minorities, Black and brown people, are incarcerated at a higher rate. So this is directly related to that rate of or the decline of your typical Black household. If you're having more of your men taken away and carted off to prison, then they can't be there. They're not going to be present to start a family and to raise a family.
That's why the men ain't shit argument started.
All right.
But we ain't gonna go there.
You still mad.
We ain't going there. We not going there.
But even then, it's like, it goes to my point around it being fake news. Like the way that it's positioned.
I don't know. Every time you say fake news, I think of Donald Trump. Let's say alternative facts.
No, that's
no,
even
because
worse.
then you think about what's her face, Kellyanne Conway, and that's an even worse image.
Yeah, that's true. Fake news. Let's go. Fake news. That's what we're talking about. All right, my bad.
Falsehoods. Can we go with that?
Falsehoods. We can call it falsehoods.
Yeah.
But this is some of like the falsehoods, and I guess like just scratching the surface. What's really spun out, sort of like in the media or on social media, is like sort of this notion that, you know, there's no such thing as like an integral like Black family anymore. Mm-hmm. Like basically it's the middle class is being deteriorated, and the family values that once existed no longer exist. And that's not true. If anything, you have to consider the societal impacts and how that's affecting even the possibility of people getting married, because most of the Black men are not anywhere in a position that they could even get married if they're incarcerated. And like, this is kind of getting into like a deeper thing, which we're not going to talk about, but sometimes the reasons that they do get incarcerated are petty things. Like, they're not things that white people would get incarcerated for.
Like sneezing on somebody the wrong way.
So,
I'd call the cops on you at this rate. Shoot.
So that's what I'm saying. That's a falsehood in itself, because you have to consider social factors that only impact Black men or Black people in general.
Yeah. And I think another thing that we can't ignore is that a lot of the trends that we see in the decrease of marriage is across the globe. You know, it's not just within the Black family. Mm-hmm. People like to highlight that just because it's a more stark difference, where it's just like, oh my God, 45% of Black people and 70%. So it's just like, oh, it sounds so much worse. But I feel like if we looked at the historical trends for any race, we would see a decline there also. Mm-hmm. So we can't ignore that fact.
No, it's true. So some of the other falsehoods that I've heard, and this comes to just the point of view that as a Black woman, it's even harder to find a good Black man. Or like, if you're educated, then all of a sudden, like, you have less likelihood to find someone to get married to. So I've heard that. Have you guys heard something similar?
As a Black woman who has a really good job and a master's degree and like mad certifications in my field, who is single as fuck. Yes, I have heard that. Oh, you're not gonna say nothing, Wesley?
Wesley, you don't have a point of view on it?
I have no points of view on this. I plead the fifth.
I am living proof of this one right here.
Well, I don't know anything about this.
Well, anyway, so the point is like if we look at information, so yes, it is harder, I think, for most educated women to find qualified men that they want to be in a relationship
She
with.
said qualified.
Yeah, see,
And
that's
get married
but
too.
see, that's the problem, though. Right? See,
Now you got something to say.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Now you have something to say.
You see, here's the thing, though. I think,
Oh, Lord.
I think the educated black women have it harder argument is because
Go ahead, say it.
I think it's because of the fact that
Can you wait
they're
until I
not
find
looking
something to
at
throw with you?
the whole spectrum of black men. I feel like the threshold for, like, let's say you make this much, right? Let's say it's $100,000. I feel like you want somebody in line. But what if somebody that's like a good person makes, I don't know, 65,000? Would you consider that a 65,000 person?
Yes.
Okay, you're one of very few that I've heard.
I mean, that's also not a
black
huge
women.
difference. So
there
could be that. Now, if you went, I'm making well into the six figures, and he's like working part time at Trader Joe's. Not because Trader Joe's, their pay isn't that horrible. So, but part time at Trader Joe's or something or whatever.
But what if that
then
person
I
has like,
do see
like
that
ambition, right? Like that person is like an artist or something on the come up. You know that he or she's very talented. And it's not really a matter of if, it's really just a matter of when.
It depends on what kind of artist.
You just kind of like got in at the wrong time.
I'm not even going to front because I promise you at this age, if you try to come at me and tell me that you're a rapper, sir, good day.
And even my definition of qualified is somebody that has like a certain mind frame that matches yours.
Yeah.
So
it's not always about money.
Like qualification isn't like, a pedigree per se, but it's somebody that does value education. So like you don't have to have a master's degree, but if I see that you're constantly pushing yourself to learn something new so that you can stand out in what you do, that I consider qualified.
And you're passionate. It's more so about your values than what you are on, who you are on paper.
Maddie, we
and
both
who
Haitian,
you are.
so like parents and stuff when they get into
but
they say they say crazy shit. Like,
luckily I had a mother who was just like, you the one that's gonna marry him, not me, so do you got to deal with that, but just want to consider these things. Now I know for a lot of Caribbean raised children,
it's all about what he does. He got to be adopted.
Honestly, just children of immigrants, they do have this higher expectation of us and the person that we end up with.
Yeah, most definitely.
So yeah, that's it. That's true. But at the same time, I know a lot of women who are just as educated or more educated than I am, who are more successful than I am, who are willing to date someone who is quote unquote unqualified. Like, I don't see anyone as unqualified if we're matching on the things that I find are important.
Right.
And those for me are what I consider qualifications. So like the values have to match, or like the ambition has to be there, or like you have to bring something significant to the table, like whether it's through like the stuff that you're into and you're always contributing to the conversation about stuff that I know nothing about. Like that I consider are like qualifications. Yeah. So it's not, it's like more of like, okay, my, like what I would strive to want in a partner versus like, this is like a laundry list of like stupid shit, like height or like.
But see, that's
hold on. But height is kind of important though.
Yeah. Wow. See what I'm talking
now
about?
Now we're digressing. We are now digressing.
I'm joking. Relax.
She's not joking. She's not joking.
I'm short. Anything is good for me. Shoot.
But anyway, what I wanted to kind of dispel is like that, yes, educated Black women have it harder finding people. I think to an extent, anybody that has a little bit more going on in their life and has like, you know, worked hard for their masters or has gotten educated, like to an extent, there's probably some of that dynamic that happens for any ethnic group, not just necessarily Black women. But the interesting stat that I wanted to offer up, and this was in the New York Times, is that among Black women specifically, 70% of college graduates get married by the age of 40.
Hey.
But if you take the group of, let's say, high school only, so like people that only graduated to a high school level that are Black, by that age, only 60% of them are married.
That's still a lot, though. Like,
they save the
money.
money.
Way people talk about it, you would think that you were going to say 20% or something.
Oh, no. Yeah, but like what I'm saying is that it doesn't necessarily mean that because you're an educated Black woman that all hope is lost.
Yeah.
Because your chances as an educated Black woman are actually higher to find somebody to get married.
That just warmed me up inside.
And then if you look at the flip side, so then now like going back to like the values, if you look at men with college degrees, Black men with college degrees, 76% of them get married by the age of 40, whereas in their, if you only looked at the high school graduates of Black men, 63% of them get married by that age. So in general, for both Black men and Black women, your chances only increase if you're more qualified from like a college degree perspective, which is contrary to the belief that, oh, if you have it a lot harder if you're college educated, that your chances go down of finding somebody that you'd want to marry.
Awesome sauce. Cool. That makes me happy.
So that's a positive.
So future husband, we still have hope we'll meet each other one day.
Hey. I'm probably on this podcast too.
Hit me up on Instagram.
Mandy_NFG. NFD.
NFD. Get it right, you NFD. Hater. God. Okay. Another thing that we also just wanted to touch on was, I had mentioned the war on drugs, mass incarceration. Interesting fact that I found was, even as we started seeing the number of incarcerated Black men decrease after, I don't know if I could say after the war on drugs, but as those policies started to be rolled back, we did not see an increase in the number of men getting married or Black men getting married for the first time. So clearly it shows that there's more to whatever it is that's holding people back than just that incarceration rate.
Man, these child support and divorce laws, man. Shit is insane. I'm just playing now. What?
You get a moment of silence for that one.
But these divorce laws are crazy, though. That's the reason why, though. A lot of men had to get married, though. These divorce laws are crazy.
No, but like if they've never been married.
If they've never been.
Yeah, I'm talking about never been married.
What keeps them from being married.
Oh, so I'm not going to get married because if I divorce her, I'm going to have issues.
But I feel like that's the wrong mind.
Sir, I bid you good day.
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I do talk to some guys that hesitate on getting married because of that.
But that's because you're supposed to only marry someone that you don't see yourself not spending the rest of your life.
No, I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that assertion, but there's some guys out there that feel like that, especially some Black men that feel exactly like that. I'm not trying to be a jerk, and I'm not saying that because, like,
we can't say that because you're the only dude in the room.
It's like Wesley's moments where he's being funny, but no, I'm being serious.
And I mean, I guess that kind of it makes sense that there would be that point of view.
There's just hesitation
because
they're not saying that they're not going to connect with somebody. But.
Yeah, right. But like, if you look at general trends, yes, divorce rates have gone up. Mm-hmm. So if what you're seeing in the media is like constant, like divorce drama, child support, what happens with people's assets, blah, 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 it's going to paint the wrong picture of
most definitely, of course,
what you could actually expect for yourself.
Right.
Which again, sort of highlights the importance of us talking about this, because more than likely there are other couples out there that when they get married, for them, like, they're going to resolve whatever issues they have.
Yeah.
And I have met a lot of like Black couples and Black families where, they're very religious in terms of their beliefs, and that's really what holds them together, and they work shit out. So it's like, it's a matter of like finding somebody that's going to
Maddie
have.
got the smile on her face again. I
Because
said
God is
divorce.
love.
She got the hugest frown. She was like, "What?"
But then when you say the
moan
Jesus,
of silence,
Jesus fixes
power of
it.
Jesus will fix it.
So, and I think
Everything's
that's like,
great.
that's like a matter of like the values that you look for. And
Right.
you just have to see that, hey, there are Black couples out here that, you know, it's not that they have it easy. It's not that their relationships don't have challenges, but like they have some sort of anchor that helps them work through shit. And unfortunately, we don't see enough of those stories. We always see the divorce stories,
always
the
see
crazy cheating stories.
The crazy horror stories. Yeah.
So, I mean, I can see why that could be a sentiment
Right.
that men have. But I will challenge them and say, you just got to go out there and look at some other examples. Like, don't just take what the TV or like your phone is feeding to you.
Or you could just stop watching all this reality TV and take it way back to that TGIF that we was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Where I would say, like, growing up, we had some really great examples on TV of what good families and wholesome families looked like. I mean, shoot, we had Full House and they had everybody and their mama living in that house. Wait,
Yeah,
they didn't
for real.
have a real actual mama.
I think
But
she passed away.
No,
or
she passed
something.
away.
See,
on the show.
and that
Yeah.
was the dopeness of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, we had those images. And I know for me, whenever I think of Black love, I do always go back to those TV shows.
Yeah, 4 daughters. It's like, damn, that's a lot. To
Shout
take
out to
care
the
of.
Olsen twins.
Yeah, 4 daughters.
No, but didn't the Cosby Show also have, how many they had?
There was
3?
Sandra, Vanessa.
Oh, you busting out names. Go ahead.
Rudy, Theo.
Yeah, it was 3 daughters.
There was is Sandra the oldest one? Sandra was the oldest one. I'm forgetting the other one.
There's another one?
The Lisa Bonet's character. That's the 5th one.
4th daughter. So it was 4 daughters.
I think it was 4 daughters.
Yeah, it was 4
And the-
daughters.
and
The,
the
two
one-
the 2 light skinned ones and then the 2 dark skinned ones.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can't remember Lisa Bonet's character, but her too. She was in it. And then one of the daughters had a daughter.
And that was Raven Simone.
And that was Raven Simone.
Yeah.
And then the colonel was the dad. And then there was the family, the mom and dad.
Either way, I feel
That
like
was a big house. Though. I was like, man, where in Brooklyn can I get this house? This place
those
is
brownstones
amazing.
that we can't afford.
Yeah,
Can't
I was
afford them
like-
anymore.
I was like, man, this house
We
looks
could
amazing.
never afford those brownstones.
I mean, I think you could have.
I was 6 years old when I was watching that show, and I was like,
in
man,
the
where
80s,
where'd you go?
maybe. Like, I don't think the real estate out there was that expensive in the 80s. It was even then?
Yeah.
I thought it.
Where the brownstones are, not where they tried to depict it, where they actually are. It's always been expensive there. Yeah.
Oh,
But
man.
okay, either way, we keep digressing.
Yeah.
So it was just I guess what I was thinking about was what did Black love look like? And that was one of the best images that I had of what Black love looked like. You know, I wanted Claire Huxtable to be my mom so badly. She was just
she was so
dopeness
understanding.
personified.
She was
Like
so understanding about everything.
so
Most things.
different from
There was
our
like a
Caribbean
couple
mothers.
episodes you're like, yeah, my aunt would have whooped my ass right about now.
Right.
Nobody ever got whooped in those shows.
No, they always got
No,
like
they
that
always got a
stern
really good sit
Except
down
for
conversation.
Conversation.
Urkel and Family Matters with the
Word. They were so mean to him. Like, son.
He kept fucking up that house. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
But also bringing up Family Matters, like in Family Matters, they also had a really good family image. And it was just like that image and seeing them always having each other's backs, always being there for one another. The couple, Carl and what was
Harriet.
it? Harriet.
Yeah.
Like kicking it.
And I
Like
used
they
to.
always had each other's backs. I loved that image, and it was just like I wanted to grow up and be like them.
I used to
as
like
mothers.
the hard hitting episodes, like the episode where Eddie was driving his car and got pulled over by the white police, and Dad just happened to be a police officer, and he confronted the other two.
That was a good one.
There was the one where Laura's friend got shot over her shoes because she got jumped
Over
over
the
her shoes.
sneakers?
Oh, Laura got beat up first because she didn't want to give up her shoes, and then she got beat up, and then the other friend
Somebody
tried
got
to have
shot.
her back, and she got shot.
Oh,
There was a
wow. I
couple of
didn't
other
remember that.
episodes where you're just like, wow, like these are
Yeah.
like, this is like real life for me. Like,
I liked
I wasn't getting jumped.
no, not jump, but like, but you could see, but like, because we used to grow up in like a rough part. I'm gonna say it, but we used to grow up in like Hempstead, New York, and like, you used to see certain things. You're just like, where are we living at right now? Like, you would swear we living in Brooklyn or the Bronx or something.
First of all, although I just said Brooklyn, you're not going to disrespect.
I know it's
Brooklyn.
not, and I'm not going to disrespect Brooklyn like that. That's why I hesitate to say Brooklyn, but you said Brooklyn, so I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna say Brooklyn too.
I'm from Brooklyn. I can say Brooklyn. You can't say Brooklyn.
I was born in Brooklyn.
He was born in Brooklyn.
He was
just
born
didn't
and
grow
then
up
got
there.
moved to the
I got
suburbs,
moved
like
all over the place.
so you don't count. You have no
But-
Brooklyn disrespect.
Man,
Anyway,
chill
but
out. She over here like put all my business out there.
Yeah, but Family Matters was one of my favorite shows. Like,
Yeah.
I really just loved, like, and because I grew up as like an only child for like my first 8 years. So it was like always like seeing like how the brothers and the sisters had each other's back, and like there was like this broader like family unit. It was just like awesome. So like I loved that show, and it really, I think, taught you some of like the important lessons of like why family's always there first. And that all starts with like what you said with like Carl and Harriet. Carl, what was his name, right?
yeah, Carl.
Yeah, Carl.
Yeah, and it's like you would see them like in some episodes where they're like bickering with each other, but at the end of the day, like it was like pure love. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, so it's like those are the types of things that like you have to look to, and like don't forget that they're out there for everybody. But
Yeah, like Oprah and Stedman.
Really?
I don't know how that compares.
Really?
To Family Matters.
I don't know.
but, I mean, I guess we could start talking about some of the
Our
iconic,
celebrity
like black love couples.
Oprah and Stedman.
All right, so you said Oprah and Stedman.
Yes.
Man,
Stedman been there forever. He been there when Oprah didn't have nothing.
true, but it's just
He's like the ultimate domestic partner right there.
I feel like when I think about Stedman,
when you think about domestic partners, that should be one you should think about.
Yeah.
Oprah and Stedman.
Well, what I like about what you're saying too is like pushing the definition of how to think about love, because I think many
Yes.
times like you think that it culminates in marriage, but it doesn't necessarily have to culminate in marriage.
Exactly. Like, I think that was one of the things about that couple that always stood out to me, because you know how like when couples are dating, especially now since we're all up in their whole lives,
Yeah.
just like, when are they going to get married? They've been dating for so long. When are they getting married? And Oprah was just like, never. So what up? And it's just like, you had to take it and like it, but he was always there. Like,
He's always there.
there is no separation of them, at least not in my head. It's just like Oprah and Stedman. It just makes sense. They don't have to be married. She don't have to have a ring. I don't care if he's still living in the guest house. I don't know if that was even true, but I know for a long time
That's not true.
that was the thing.
In the guest house.
She probably said that.
And
to
that
appease
guest house
people.
is probably like a normal ass house too.
That guest
Like,
house is a mansion.
Yeah,
Let's be for real.
that's another
but
mansion.
still, it's
Like,
just like,
no.
it doesn't have to be. They push the boundaries of what your typical couple and relationship look like. But they still had all of the same love and respect for one another. Like, he was just like, okay, Oprah, you want to go ahead and be great? Do you? I'm gonna hold it down being great on my own in the background. And it's just like, I love that.
There you go.
I
I
love
thought
that.
that was going to be that's not a couple that we're about to talk about. I thought that was going to be Nicki Minaj and what's the other dude's name? Because he was the songwriter and he was always in the background.
Safari?
He was always in the background writing stuff for her.
Oh,
And then they just broke up. I don't know what the fuck happened, but
I don't care.
he was always in the back. But
They
yeah,
didn't
that's like
count
new age shit right there.
They're
That's
not
like-
iconic.
They're not iconic though.
They're not.
Yeah, they're really not.
Who else we have? Will and Jada.
Will and Jada.
Yeah, like
Man.
I heard they was in an open relationship and there's not, and they open again. All I would say about Will and Jada is like, tell your son to stay off Twitter. That's all I'm saying.
First of all, we're talking about Will and Jada, not their offspring.
not the kid.
You gonna leave them alone. And I actually, in all honesty, I love that about them, because they're just like, especially coming from parents who is just like, you have to be this, and this. They were like, yo, whatever you want to do, whoever you want to be, however you want to be it, I will support you.
See,
and I love that about them, and the fact that they do it together.
I've said this before. I was like, in my family, as being a first generation American, I couldn't be an artist, but I feel like my kids could be an artist. Like, I couldn't do it personally because my family would just looked at me all crazy.
Oh, we would have gotten disowned,
just smack the shit out of or whatever. But like
support.
Our family, like the next generation would be able to do that. Like I'd be able to say, yeah, you could be an artist, you could be whatever you want to be. Just make sure you're the best at it.
What I was going to say about Will and Jada is that they're just like not messy about their stuff. Like, obviously, like they've had some like crazy shit that has happened. Like, there's been like rumors of like either Will being with somebody or like some cheating or something or this. But like, I feel like they're always like, nope, like they keep their business to themselves and like they figure their shit out and they're still together. It's like, I'm pretty sure it hasn't been 100% easy, but you know, they keep this image of what they represent, like what their relationship represents and like their love, and they figure out all that other stuff in the background. It's like you don't have to like drag out all this stuff in the media. So that's what I appreciate about them. It's like it shows that just because you have some shit going down doesn't mean that you have to bring everybody up into the drama. Like, you guys can figure it out. And
legit, they're the couple that if they were ever to break up, and I'm not putting this into the universe, I'm not putting this, Lord,
so
Jesus,
why are you saying
please do not let this happen. But if they were to ever break up, yo, my hope would be dashed. Would be like, I give up on love, because if they can't work it out, like, what hope do us mere mortals have?
Mere mortals.
Like, they are that couple for me where I'm just like, yo, if they could do it, because like you said, they've been through some shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Jada had this whole, I think, interview or this piece where she was talking about co-parenting and how she sat down with the mother of his first child and was just like, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to work it out.
Hey.
It's like, I love that and I respect that. So it's like, if you can't, if y'all mess this up somehow, anyhow, like, I give up. I'm going to just become a nun or something.
Don't give up before, like, too early, though.
Yeah.
You might find your will, so you never know.
So we got one on our list. I was outvoted 2-1 on this one.
Who?
Whitney and Bobby. Your ratchet ass decided to put them on the list. The hell are you talking about?
Whitney, that's iconic. Whitney and Bobby are iconic.
I mean, like,
iconic doesn't always mean that you look up to them in every way.
I think there's things that you can learn from their relationship, despite that the relationship wasn't like a golden relationship. They had issues.
Any kids on here, make sure you pay attention to the DARE program, okay? That's what you can learn.
I don't think they even have it anymore.
I don't know, but if they do,
you're old ass.
Do it. Do what you gotta do, bro.
Nah, but you cannot tell me if you're thinking about black couples, it's not an iconic couple.
Think of the craziest interviews that I've heard.
But they
them.
was always
like my top
down
5 of crazy interviews that I've
They
heard.
was down for the cause. Like, I respect them just for that.
They like had each other's back till like the end.
And he's still repping for her. Yo, I need somebody like that to be the president of my fan club. Because Bobby Brown is just like, yo, don't talk about Whitney. Don't you disrespect her. Because that is, watch, he's about to send you a letter. He's about to send you a very strongly worded letter.
Got a letter. Thanks, Wesley.
You say no disrespect, but I'm just like...
As a couple, I mean, come on now. We can't just be like, okay,
I would
only
say this.
the honky-dory ones.
Their careers were very iconic.
And them as a couple. If I say Whitney,
I'm sipping this wine right now.
If I say Whitney Houston, tell me you don't automatically think about Bobby Brown. It's my prerogative. Go ahead, tell me.
Man, I think
lying
ass. The Bodyguard.
You lying.
Wow.
You're
no, but I guess like just to that point, like why do you think that for whatever reason that you would have preferred that we didn't talk about them?
Oh, it's not that. I don't know, man. When I think of some interviews that like they've done, sometimes I just be questioning the mindset. You laughing over there because you know what I'm talking about.
I never said they're not a mess. I never said that. I will never deny that because that would make me a liar.
So you put them on here because they're
iconic.
They reflect real life black love, which is messy and stuff. That what you're telling me?
No.
Right
Because
now?
they were real, and there's still parts of their
And Will and
relationship
Jada are real.
that you can connect with.
Okay.
But part of
Certain parts more than others.
Yeah, like the whole crack
Kids,
is whack. I can't. Crack
dare.
is whack.
Dare.
don't do crack.
Crack is whack.
Crack is cheap. Yes. I don't quite connect with them on the whole drug abuse part. Actually, I don't connect with them at all on that part.
I don't know about that.
But in terms of the relationship and the way they held each other down, the way they were together, their togetherness,
yeah. Then I'll give you
and then
that.
their
Yeah.
support for one another, like you can't deny that.
No, I won't deny that.
And that's also, I think, part of is what we're doing is the whole representation thing. So it's like if you always see a perfect, like cookie cutter
I'm not expecting
type of
perfect,
relationship
but I'm
or
expecting
marriage, like it just doesn't really.
He just doesn't want drug use.
yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, that's it.
Shit happens sometimes. But
What do you mean shit happens sometimes? I don't come to you being like, I want some crack rocks. Wait, what? Okay.
I'm just saying. All right.
Man,
They're
this-
iconic.
man, this shit
I'm gonna
gonna
leave
be-
it at that.
and they
okay?
still got they had each other's back. So that's kind of what that represents.
Man, this shit gonna
Yeah.
be an Instagram preview. I already know it.
So, and then, of course, like after the big release, past 2 weekends, Black Panther,
Wakanda
which,
forever.
Wakanda forever.
which we've all seen in this room.
Hashtag Wakanda forever.
I don't even know what accent that is, but I want you to stop.
No. I could do my Haitian accent. That would
Don't.
be bad.
Don't do that.
But one of the things that I love,
Hey,
I mean,
Wakanda
the
forever.
show, the movie, not the show, the movie is a lot of things, and it's awesome and it's great, and I want to go watch it again, and I encourage everybody to go watch it. But one of the
Wait. Spoiler alert. So if you haven't watched it, this is where you hit pause and that's it. It's there.
Turn it back on after you watch it.
Thanks for giving the warning. 'Cause
Yeah.
then I would have been
Wait,
hated.
spoiler
for
alert,
like
before
days.
we start-
Okay, well, I don't know what we're about to
I don't know.
say, so
I don't know where we're going to take this. So before we get going,
if you haven't seen it, what's wrong with your life?
oh shit.
Get it together.
Hey, don't bootleg it for real. Like
Just
Go out
go-
and
go
pay that
pay it.
$27 to see the movie.
Pay that $20 to see
It's
that
cheaper
movie.
if you go for a matinee because
Pay
y'all know
that
I'm out here trying
$10
to
for
save
that
you
small
money.
popcorn. It's a large.
Bring your own.
Yes, that skinny pop's popping. Put a bag of that in your bag.
Yeah, just bring your own. You don't gotta buy the shit over there. Anyway,
Okay, anyway.
one of the themes that I loved about the movie was just how it showed the many facets of Black love
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and the different couples that were represented in the film. So, like, my favorite was T'Challa and Nakia, and just how from the beginning, like, she's like, don't freeze. Like, you know, you're going to freeze when you see her because, like, instantly, like, it tells you how much, like, he loves
likes
her.
her. That is so sweet.
And like,
Wow.
literally, that's what he does. So I guess there are some spoilers in the scene.
No, I think that was in the trailer.
It was in the trailer?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember.
It was in the trailer where she's like, don't freeze. And he's like, I never freeze.
And then he
I've been
froze.
working on my accent, guys.
I never.
But then the fact that, like, you know, they actually go through some of that relationship sort of development storytelling in the movie where it's like, you know that they were together. They weren't together anymore. Like, she has a very strong sense of who she is and what she wants to do with her life. And she doesn't want anything given to her.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, as the movie progresses, like, you can see that even them being together has to be because she's also making an impact of how she sees herself making a difference in the world.
Right.
And then once he's thinking about how she can fulfill that in her life, like, I thought that was really cool. Like, towards the end when he's like saying, okay, like, I bought this and this and that. And like, we're
I
going to
think
do this great thing.
one of my favorite parts of it was where he, and of course, I haven't seen the movie enough to know the script, so don't y'all come for me talking about that's not exactly what he said or she said.
Hey, auntie.
But there's this one part where he's like, you're too stubborn to be a queen. And she's like, actually, I'd be a good queen because I'm so stubborn. Yeah. And I'm just like, yes, let him know. Like, there was never any point in time where it's just like, I need you to fit this mold. in order for us to be together. He's like, I just want you to stop running around and being a spy and just be my girl. And she's like, nah, I got things to do.
I gotta be a spy.
She's just like, I got people waiting for me. I got things to hold down. So you go ahead, you be king. I'm gonna be out here spying it up. I don't know if that's even a verb, but it's about to be a verb now.
I had 2 women crushes in that movie. Angela Bassett, the Queen Regent, or Queen Mother, whatever they want to call
Ramonda.
her. Ramonda and Okoye. I was like, oh man, Okoye is sexy.
She took out that horrible ass dread wig.
Yeah, I was like, damn. I was like, what? You can take that off. Like, she looked hot.
Yeah.
She was hot.
Okay.
She had that spear on.
She did not have a spear on.
Not on, but like, she had the spear. She was getting ready
that
to
was
stab,
in your
she was getting ready to
dream.
stab her boyfriend or whatever, her man or whatever.
Oh, he was a bum.
He was.
Starting up shit everywhere.
He was such a bum. Like, how you switch sides so quickly, homeboy?
Yeah, man.
And then you want to, okay, yeah, if you did not pause this,
We're sorry.
because this part I know was not in the trailer, because when he hopped off that rhinoceros,
Oh yeah.
I was just like, my love, yo, I would have stabbed him. Like,
On his,
dead
and
ass.
it's like on his knees too. Like he knew he fucked up.
Like, I would have stabbed him. Like, we're fighting. You are out here killing my homegirls, and now you want to call me your love? Get out.
All right, that's the end of this episode. We're gonna give away way too much of this movie.
But it's an awesome movie. Go watch it.
Go watch it. Yeah. Peace out, Girl
Black
Scouts.
love matters.
Yeah, Black love matters.
Yes.
Wakanda forever.